today, the Monday after. I didn't get a real opportunity yesterday to watch a lot of the action. But the headlines coming out this morning, the storylines coming out of Minnesota, I want to talk about it. And I want to know right away in the comments below, man, do you think that Minnesota is going to ruin our plan, the Lions plan, the direction, the focus? Is there an opportunity for Minnesota to screw things up for us? And the reason why I say that is, as Lions fans, we know all too well. And look, I'm not going down, the same old Lions type of mentality here, because I don't think that exists. But what I am going to say is we get snake bit all too often for whatever reason. I don't necessarily myself feel like that's an opportunity, that's going to happen for Minnesota, but people are talking about it. And I figured it's best that we talk about it. Let's put it out there. How do you feel about Josh Dobbs leading the Vikings to a win? He's been with the Vikings for a few days. And by the way, the Lions signed Josh Dobbs December 5th, 2022. Did you guys forget? He knows some of this offense. Now, after Tim Boyle was poached off of our practice squad last season, a few days later, the Lions had signed Dobbs after he visited the facility. And Dobbs was completely blown away by the operation that the Detroit Lions have. And this is what Dobbs had to say. He said, I was there the night before the Vikings game. And you could just feel the vibe in the building, Dobbs said. Just everyone around there. They're just all focused on the right things. They have a ton of coaches that are former players on their whole staff. They just get it. The vibe is really good up there. I enjoyed it. Man, that speaks volumes, to future free agents that want to come into Detroit. I don't think it's a secret anymore that the Lions have the sauce, man. They've got the secret sauce right now, and they're doing it. But he was on the Lions squad for about 16 days, and then he was poached by the Titans on December 21st last season. Less than 2 weeks later, he's already starting for the Titans. And that was after, I believe, Tannehill went down with an injury, and I believe Malik Willis was struggling pretty badly. And so they gave Dobbs a shot. He went 0-2, to finish the season. But in his first two starts, Dobbs completed 40 of 68, 411 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Abysmal passer rating of 73.8. But he did provide a spark to that offense that was struggling, both with Tannehill and Malik Willis. And he played with confidence. He played with poise. He made some nice throws. He showed leadership. And this is joining a team late in the season. He fit in well. Then Dobbs joined the Browns in free agency in 2023, March of this season. And then a few months later, he's moved on to Arizona, where, the Browns had traded Dobbs along with a 2024 7th-round pick to the Cardinals in exchange for a 2024 5th-round pick. Dobbs started all 8 games for the Cardinals this season. So he's coming into this Minnesota Vikings team with plenty of play underneath his belt. He's been around the league a while. Look, I'm not saying he's some, stud quarterback that's going to come in and just completely break down the Lions. That's not what I'm saying. But I think you guys are smart enough, and I think everybody is beginning to realize you don't necessarily need an elite quarterback to win games in the NFL. A game manager is just fine as long as they don't turn the ball over. But if you have any combination of that, someone that can protect the ball, someone that has a decent arm, someone that is mobile, a game manager, high football IQ, if you can blend any of those, key intangibles together, you can kind of craft yourself a quarterback, a leader, someone that can win games. Now, he didn't have that success in Arizona, right? He started all 8 games for them this season. Kyler Murray, I believe, was out with an ACL or knee, something. I don't really remember. But he threw for 1,569 yards, 8 TDs, and 5 interceptions. So he's not winning the touchdown to interception ratio battle, right? I mean, he's almost 50-50. That's not a great stat to have, especially if you're going to go up against an elite defensive backfield where, they can bait him into throwing interceptions. So as a starter, 1-7 for the Cardinals, right? Nothing to really jump up and down about. But this Cardinals team it's terrible. There's a lot of holes. There's a lot of problems. Internally, externally, it's just not a good team. So you can't fault him for all of that, right? And look, I'm not trying to give Josh Dobbs a bunch of praise, but he was a former Lion, as brief as it was. He does know a little bit about this offense. He probably didn't learn enough, but he knows enough. So then he was traded to Minnesota. Kirk Cousins goes down with an ACL. He's traded to Minnesota October 31st, just before the trade deadline. And Cardinals receive 2024 6th-round pick and a conditional 24 7th-round pick in exchange for Dobbs. And then yesterday happens. Dobbs comes in, starting for the Minnesota Vikings, and posts up a W. After going 20 for 30, 158 yards, 2 TDs through the air, no interceptions. He added 7 runs for 66 yards and a TD on the ground. This kid comes in as responsible for 3 TDs in his first game on the Minnesota Vikings. He had this to say after the game. He said, "What's up, y'all? I'm Josh Dobbs. I'm honored to be in Minnesota and introduce myself to everyone. Tremendous game, team effort. I know the circumstance I was put in was a little abnormal for a Sunday in the NFL. Abnormal to say the least, right?" He said some things later on too about how he didn't really know any of their names. He knew some of the first names, he knew some of the nicknames, but it was going to be his task this week to make sure that he learns everybody's name on the team. So here we are. We're halfway through the season. I believe Minnesota is a game and a half behind the Lions at this point, or they were. And they have Josh Dobbs, who has a few of those intangibles. So here's another question for you. All too often, every March, we get a Cinderella story coming out of the NC2A March Madness, right? Is Josh Dobbs going to be a quote-unquote Cinderella story for the Minnesota Vikings? Is he going to come in and lead this team to a playoff opportunity? Is he going to come in and hurt the Lions' opportunity to win the division? If you're not nervous even a little bit, then you don't know the Lions' history. But I'm trying to forget all that. I really am, because this team's different, right? They're led different. They're bred different. They believe different, and they do different things on the field than they ever have in the past. They're coached differently now. They've got a winning culture going on in Detroit. So my short answer is, and my short opinion is, no, I don't think we have anything to worry about. But you would be a fool if you did not plan for Dobbs. There's a reason why the Lions brought him in, right? I mean, Brad Holmes doesn't just pluck guys off of practice squads or bring guys in for no reason at all. There is something that he liked about Dobbs. There's something that this team felt that they had an opportunity and could win with this kid if he had enough time within the system. Well, that time didn't happen because he's been moved on to now 3 other teams since the Lions had him a year ago. Look, Dobbs was a phenomenal college athlete. He's bounced around in the NFL. He really hasn't had a true opportunity outside of the Cardinals this season. He really hasn't had a true opportunity to go through and finish one complete season with a team and actually play, or start. He hasn't really had that opportunity. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive he hasn't. I mean, when he joined the Browns, he went, through the Browns thing, but then he moved on to the Cardinals. So that's, post training camp and everything else. Starting with the team prior to training camp and going through a whole season is totally different. And look, we're seeing some of that stuff, like even with Jameson Williams, right? Where he really hasn't had a full opportunity to kind of start to finish, go through a full season. Let's see what he's got. And that's why the reviews are so mixed on JMO. But this isn't about JMO. Just making the analogy. So what do you think? Is Josh Dobbs going to upset the apple cart? Are the Lions going to be able to hold the line? Are they going to be able to win what should be winnable games? These are games that the Lions should win. Same can be said for what's going on in Chicago right now. I can't even remember their new quarterback's name. I think Fields is done. I said it a couple weeks ago. I'm surprised he wasn't shopped at the deadline. He may have been. We just won't know about it. It may come out later. But I think Fields' time is up. I think that Chicago's kind of tanking a little bit, putting in this other guy, hoping that probably they lose and get a better pick. Who knows? Teams don't do that, right? Right. So, same situation. That guy wants to win. This guy, Dobbs, wants to win. He wants to earn a spot. Whether, Minnesota picks up a quarterback in the next draft is yet to be seen. But Dobbs would be a wonderful backup and somebody that can start. So the final question is, do the Lions still win both of these games later in the season against Minnesota? Obviously, we're not going to know until game time what kind of condition the Lions are in, what their health situation is, and where their head is, at that point in the season. Which defense is showing up week in, week out. What offense is going to show up, which they pretty much show up every game. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Josh Dobbs, man, what an incredible story yesterday. Very unique situation in Minnesota. And look, congratulations to Josh Dobbs for, walking in and pulling out a W. But I got bad news for you, brother. It ain't going to happen against Detroit. So you can pack it in, bud. So we're coming for you. I think that AG is going to unleash it. But again, that's our Achilles heel, is mobile quarterbacks. We know them a little bit, but the kid's got wheels. So that's the only thing that I'm worried about. And it's the one thing that I said last season. Man, loved having Dobbs on the roster. I was thinking of all the ways that he was going to be used, especially on the look team. And giving our defense another opportunity to practice against somebody not named Jared Goff that actually had wheels that could put Aiden in that situation, right? Put this defense in that situation so they can learn how to combat a mobile quarterback. It's the one thing they haven't figured out yet. Hopefully they do by the time we get up to the Vikings. That is, of course, unless Fields does enter the game again, which I just don't see it happening, but we'll see. All right, y'all, that's all I had for you today. There'll be some more stuff popping up. I'm going to do a special on the offensive line. And I really want to talk about what they're doing. So that's going to be up next. And it might be popping up in some cards here, but do us a favor, man, take a look at your subscription level right now. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, we'd love to have you in. You guys are the best part of this channel. You sponsor it, you support it just by watching our videos. And we really appreciate it. We really do. You guys have been awesome. And look, we're ready to keep doing what we're doing 365 days a year. Keep bringing the energy, keep bringing you the news, keep bringing these, crazy little videos up. Talk about the uniqueness, bring a different perspective. Get you guys on the phone line to tell us what you're thinking. So that'll be up again this week. We're going to start opening up the phone lines, and we might start doing some different things, daily, but it's coming. All right, y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. As always, look, go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.